The courtroom was unusually quiet that afternoon when the door opened and Sally Moscid stepped inside, her exhaustion trailing behind her like a shadow. She was wearing the same scrubs she'd worn for the past 16 hours, light blue patterned with cheerful cartoon prints meant to bring comfort to hospital patients. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, her shoes still squeaking faintly against the tile floor. Her face, though young, carried the unmistakable signs of fatigue, dark circles beneath her eyes, a weary set to her shoulders, and that distant, hollow look only people who have given too much of themselves to others wear. She was a newly certified CNA at Rhode Island Hospital, and she'd just finished a brutal double shift, the kind of shift that drains the spirit and fogs the mind. Yet she still showed up to court because she believed in doing things the right way, even when life was unfairly heavy. Judge Frank Caprio looked up from his papers as the bailiff called her name. Sally Moscid, citation for failure to stop at a red light. She approached the podium slowly, a tired smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Judge Caprio could see right away that she wasn't someone making excuses or trying to dodge responsibility. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in days but still had the courage to stand before the court with humility. "Miss Moscid," Judge Caprio began gently, "I can see you came straight from work." Sally gave a small nod, her voice soft and polite. "Yes, Your Honor, I just finished my shift at Rhode Island Hospital about an hour ago." "How long was your shift?" he asked, already sensing the story behind her weary expression. 16 hours, Your Honor. I started at 3 yesterday afternoon and finished at 7 this morning. I had to be here at 3, so I figured it wasn't worth trying to sleep." There was a small ripple of sympathetic laughter in the courtroom. She chuckled too, in that way people do when they're too tired to hide the absurdity of their own situations. Judge Caprio's expression softened. 16 hours? That's an awfully long day, Miss Moscid. It was, she said, but I love what I do. It's hard, but worth it. That quiet pride in her voice said everything, the kind of pride that comes from caring for others in their most vulnerable moments. Caprio looked down at the citation again. "All right, let's talk about why you're here. You were cited for running a red light on Hope Street. Can you tell me what happened?" Sally exhaled, rubbing the back of her neck. "Your Honor, I'm not going to lie to you, mostly because I'm way too tired to make up a good story." The courtroom erupted in laughter, and even Judge Caprio smiled. "That's already one of the most honest answers I've heard all week," he said. Sally laughed softly, shaking her head. "I was driving home after my shift, and I came to that intersection. The light turned red, and in my very tired brain I thought, okay, I'll just yield through it." The judge raised his eyebrows. "Yield through a red light?" I know, she said, covering her face with one hand. "It made perfect sense at the time, Your Honor. I thought, there's no one coming, I'll just slow down and roll through carefully. Like it was some kind of weird yield sign that didn't actually exist." The laughter returned, and this time it spread across the entire courtroom. Her honesty, her self-deprecating humor, it disarmed everyone. "Miss Moscid, you understand that's not quite how red lights work, correct?" "Oh, I'm painfully aware now," she replied quickly, and the room chuckled again. "Especially when I saw the police lights flashing behind me. That woke me right up. I was like, oh, so we don't yield through red lights, got it." Judge Caprio shook his head, smiling despite himself. "So you're admitting you ran the red light?" 100%, Your Honor, I didn't stop. I slowed down like a very polite rebel, but I didn't stop. I'm not trying to argue my way out of it. I was just tired and made a really bad decision. My brain was operating at maybe half power after 48 hours of 3 hours sleep." The courtroom laughed again, but there was warmth behind it now. Everyone could see she wasn't a careless driver, just a human being running on empty. Judge Caprio pulled up the traffic camera footage on the courtroom monitor. "All right, let's take a look together." Sally winced before the video even started. Oh boy, here we go. The footage played silently, showing exactly what she'd described. Her car slowing down almost to a crawl, looking both ways and then rolling gently through the red light before continuing on. She sighed, watching her own mistake unfold. "Yep, that's me. I can't even pretend otherwise. That's definitely not a stop." "You did slow down considerably," Judge Caprio said thoughtfully. "But yes, you didn't stop." "Right. I did my made-up traffic law version of safety, the 'it's late and I'm tired' rule." The courtroom laughed again. The prosecutor spoke up. "Your Honor, the violation is clear. The video confirms what she said. The fine is $85. Sally's expression faltered for a moment. She didn't complain. But the weight of that number was obvious to anyone watching. For someone just starting out in healthcare, $85 wasn't small change. It was groceries, gas, maybe even part of rent. Judge Caprio noticed immediately. "Miss Moscid, is the fine a financial burden for you?" She stood up straighter, pride steadying her voice. "If I have to pay it, I'll pay it, Your Honor. I ran the light, so I accept that. CNAs don't make much, and I'm still paying off my certification classes, but I made the mistake." There was no trace of self-pity in her voice, just honesty. And that's when something unexpected happened. A man in the back of the courtroom stood up. He wasn't dressed like an ordinary spectator. Plain clothes, but his presence carried authority. There was a badge clipped to his belt. Judge Caprio looked up in mild surprise. "Sir, please identify yourself." "Inspector Michael Carey, Providence Police, SWAT Division," the man said clearly. "I've been sitting in for another case later today. But if I may, Your Honor, I'd like to say something about Miss Moscid." The judge gestured for him to proceed. Sally looked startled, glancing back at him in confusion. Inspector Carey stepped forward, his tone respectful but firm. "Your Honor, I don't know Miss Moscid personally, but I know exactly what she does. I know where she works. Rhode Island Hospital. CNAs like her are the backbone of that place. They're the ones in the rooms at 3 in the morning when someone's coding. They're the ones holding a patient's hand when they're scared or dying. They're the ones doing the hardest, dirtiest, most emotionally draining work in that hospital. And they do it for wages that don't come close to what they deserve." The courtroom was silent now, everyone listening. Sally's eyes glistened. No one had ever said words like that on her behalf before. Inspector Carey continued, his voice unwavering. "I've worked 16-hour shifts too, Your Honor. I know what that exhaustion does to you. You stop thinking straight. You operate on autopilot." And yet she still slowed down, looked both ways, and tried to get home safely. Was it legal? No, but was it reckless? Absolutely not. It was the act of someone who just spent all night saving lives and was trying to make it home in one piece. There was a murmur of agreement throughout the room, and then another man stood. "Your Honor, may I add something?" "Please do," Judge Caprio said. "Inspector Thomas Quinn, also with Providence Police," he said, his voice steady. "I want to echo everything Inspector Carey said. My mother was hospitalized at Rhode Island Hospital last year. The CNAs there, people like Miss Moscid, they're angels. They're the ones who noticed when my mother started declining. They caught things even the doctors missed. They treated her with compassion and respect every single day. Those people saved her life. So I can tell you firsthand, what she does matters." Sally's tears spilled over, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to wipe them away without drawing attention. The entire courtroom was transfixed. Inspector Quinn turned to her. "You don't get enough thanks for what you do. You don't get enough pay, and you definitely don't deserve to be punished for being human after giving your all for 16 straight hours." The courtroom erupted into applause. Even the prosecutor joined in. It wasn't just about the ticket anymore, it was about respect, gratitude, and recognition. Judge Caprio waited for the noise to settle, his expression thoughtful. "Miss Moscid," he said finally, "please look at me." She lifted her tearful eyes to him. "Did you run that red light?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Is that against the law?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Should you have stopped completely?" "Absolutely, Your Honor." He nodded slowly. "Good. I just needed to hear you acknowledge that because traffic laws are there for safety. But," his tone softened, "context matters, intent matters, and what you were doing before that moment matters more than anything." She stood there silently, holding her breath. "You worked 16 hours, he continued, taking care of people who couldn't care for themselves. You were running on fumes not because you were reckless, but because you were selfless. You made a small mistake, one that hurt no one. And you came here today and told the truth. You didn't hide, didn't make excuses, didn't blame anyone else. You owned it." He leaned forward. That honesty and that service deserve compassion. He reached for his stamp, but instead of marking the citation as paid, he placed it aside. "Miss Moscid, your citation is dismissed." "Oh, fine, no points, no penalty." For a moment, Sally didn't move. Her hands flew to her mouth as fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "Your Honor, are you serious?" "Completely serious," he said warmly. "You're free to go. But I ran the light." "I admitted it. Yes, you did. And your honesty is one of the reasons I'm letting it go. The law gives me room for discretion. And sometimes the right thing to do isn't to punish, it's to recognize humanity." His voice grew softer but stronger. Miss Moscid, this city sees you. This courtroom sees you. We see your sacrifices, and we thank you for them. The courtroom erupted once more, clapping and cheering. Even the court staff looked emotional. Sally was openly crying now, her gratitude breaking through the exhaustion. Thank you, Your Honor. You have no idea what this means. I think I do, he replied. Now go home. Get some sleep. And next time you come to a red light, stop completely. She laughed through her tears. I promise, Your Honor, full stop every time. No more creative traffic interpretations. Judge Caprio chuckled. Good. And Miss Moscid, keep doing what you're doing. People like you remind us there's still goodness in this world. As she turned to leave, the applause followed her out the door, an exhausted CNA still in her scrubs, walking into the evening light with tears on her cheeks and the faintest smile returning to her face. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen, not as another tired healthcare worker, but as someone whose effort and heart truly mattered. And somewhere behind her, Judge Caprio watched her go, his expression thoughtful, the courtroom still humming with quiet emotion. Because sometimes justice isn't about punishment, it's about kindness and understanding that even the smallest acts of grace can restore someone's faith in the world.